life and the blessing. So, in continuation of the spirit of healing, so let me introduce our first speaker. So, we say this word quite often, Corona Blue, uh, and we have this extremely famous psychiatrist who are here to help us heal. So, let me introduce Professor Lee Si-hyung or Dr. Lee Si-hyung, who is a psychiatrist and also the director of the Serotonin Culture Institute. So let us invite Dr. Lee Si-hyung with a warm round of applause. Hello everyone, I am Lee Si-hyung. So I'm a psychiatrist and I am a very famous one, to tell you the truth. So the topic is the heal. So maybe that is the reason why I was chosen to speak for the first time in this prestigious session. So as you're aware that we live in a time of enormous hurt economically and psychologically. But as a psychiatrist, one consolation that I have is that in the period of COVID-19 and the global pandemic, that we have this fresh perspective of where Korea stands. And the global press are surprised to find out that how Korea, South Korea, had COVID-19 under a certain degree of control. And there is no panic buying, and there is no rioting. How come the country can remain in relative calm? So that is why many countries around the world are saying that we have to follow what South Korea has done so far. And because of COVID-19, then, well, we didn't actually thought a lot about the prevention. So there are two different types of medicine. The first is hospital-based medicine. So that is to actually heal the disease, and we are at the world-class level. But in terms of prevention, this is an area that we can do better. So that is why there are many events and accidents where we could have prevented them. Because once you're healthy, then it is easier to keep yourself healthy. But once you fall ill, then it could be extremely difficult to get back to your normal health. So in the area of pandemic, so many people are becoming more aware that prevention is really important, and keeping your ordinary health is very important. In the past 10 years or so that I have been operating, this camp specialized in the promoting overall health and promotion. And it has not been the popular in the past decade, but not so much. Then it has garnered a lot of attention these days. So whenever we turn on the TV, we talk a lot about the people fighting the virus and fighting the disease, and the doctors and this kind of virus control specialists talk a lot about how we can protect ourselves from this virus, but they do not talk a lot about prevention. Well, once we have the very strong immune system, then we could be a bit lax or relaxed about virus control, because sometimes you live with the patient where then you don't get affected. Or even if you contract COVID virus, then it does not demonstrate a serious symptom. Why is that? Because people have a different immune system. So when you have a strong immune system, then we should not worry too much about the virus control in quarantine. But in the time of COVID-19, that we came to have a fresh awareness of the importance of the prevention. So the prevention, I'm not only talking about preventing from getting or the contracting this virus. So it has a variety of senses. Then you can remain younger, and there are 4 different elements of your immune system. So it has a variety of coverage because then every single element of your life will comprise of your immune system and immunity. If we just try to point out these 4 elements, is that the first is what you eat, food, and the second is your lifestyle, and the third is the stress, how you deal with it, and the fourth is the extreme shortage these days, that are exercise, physical exercise. So your immune system, well, 70% of it is created in your intestine. So it's really important to keep your intestinal health. And the remaining 30% comes from your brain. So that means that you have to always feel happy and pleasant, because when you feel happy and in the pleasant mood, then your immune system is boosted. So let's think of the reasons that undermines your immune system. Is that there are so many things within your daily lives that will undermine your immune system. Then it is not an over-exaggeration. So I've listed a number of elements that could affect your immune system. So immunity and the immune system is not something that's extraordinary, but it is part of our daily lives with or without us knowing.
자, 여러분 이게 많은 그 외신 기자들은
So international media
이런 말을 씁니다.
have said the Korean miracle quite often, because the whole world is marred by this global pandemic of COVID-19. But how come South Korea is remain as is? It's because of a temperament, that we fare better in the time of chaos. When there was a major outbreak in Daegu, that everyone was really surprised. But we came back. We stood back on our feet. So we have an enormous amount of resilience. So even if it seems that we are at the brink of breaking apart, but we don't break that easily. So when you walk around the streets, then there are very few, if any, people who are not wearing the face mask. So people are embracing this new life as the new normal. And it has become their part of their daily lives. So I think it's kind of mysterious, and I feel quite thankful at the same time. And I'd like to pay my utmost respect to every single individual living in South Korea. And this immunity has a very long name behind it. Because there could be the different types of immunity. Then that's I call immunity, and the neuro, endocrine, and all of those kind of area falls into this wider category of immunity, because it involves into the hormonal functions and the psychology. So there is very small part of your brain that is called hypothalamus that has an enormous impact on your immunology. And very few people are specializing in the immune system. Of course, I'm not an expert myself, but if I may contribute to stronger immune system, I can do it with these elements. I've told you that there are 4 different colors to the immune system, and the first is what you eat. And in the medical community, is that the Mediterranean food or the Okinawan food helps to boost your immune system. But post-COVID-19 is that the traditional Korean food can join in this rank because the traditional Korean food, it has a lot of fermentation and it has this culture of condiment that use a lot amount of
사실은 저도
간장 and
최근에 이
gochujang and the bean
조사한 바에는
paste and the pepper
약으로
paste.
생각한다는 겁니다. 약념입니다.
But
그러니까 이게
we say it
반찬을
as a
할 때
condiment. It
약으로
is more like a
생각하고
medicinal
반찬을 해라.
condiment. So
여러분,
when you prepare
이렇게까지
your
우리가 정말
traditional side
평소에
dish,
이
you have to
먹거리만은
keep that in mind
우리가
that you
정말
are not just
세계
preparing
최고로
another
건강한
dish,
음식인데
but you're
이게
preparing
문제가
dish
하나
of
있습니다.
medicine. But there is one
우리는
problem that we
이
should be
농산품이
aware of,
문제입니다.
because agriculture
세계에서
produce,
우리가 농약
they
비료를
have inherent
상당히 많이
problem
쓰고 있다.
because we
어떤 사람은
use
제일 많이 쓴다는
a
사람도
large
있습니다.
amount of
자, 이것 때문에
fertilizers
사실은
and
땅이 거의
pesticides,
썩어버렸습니다.
and that
이것이
has
정말
led
문제입니다.
to
그러니까 이 세계
degrade the
손님들이
quality of soil.
쳐다오면은 여보 이게 제일 건강식이요 하고
So
내놔야 되는데 이게
when
농약
we have
비료
visitors
덩어리를
around the
내놓고
world,
이거 건강식이요
then
드시오.
it is
이렇게
as if
우리가
we are
이야기할
serving
수는
them
없는
with
게 아닙니까?
the
이게
food that
정말
is
참
filled
우리가
with
이제 걱정해야
pesticides and
그다음에
other
여러분 우리가 면역 그러면 체온이
chemicals.
굉장히 중요합니다.
And the
이게
body
서양의학을
temperature
공부하는
really matters.
의사분들은
And the
체온에
Western
대해서 별로
doctors,
신경을 쓰지
they are
않습니다.
not necessarily
여러분, 우리가
aware
체온이
of
1도가
the body
떨어지면
temperature, but
면역력이
when your
30%가
body
떨어집니다.
temperature goes down
그래서
by
오늘
1 degree
이 세탁을
Celsius,
다 입고 이렇게
then
왔는데
your immune system
이게 정말
deteriorates
추우면
by
안 됩니다.
30%.
이것이 정말
So that's
우리가
why I have another
면역적인
layer
생활을
of
하는데
sweater
제일
underneath
중요한
my
것은
jacket.
추워서는
So
안 된다.
you should not feel
그러니까 이
cold.
체온이
You
정말
have
우리가
to maintain your body
36도
temperature
오후에서 7도
in the range of
이게 이제 건강
36.5 to
이렇게 안
37
되는
degrees
한국 사람들
Celsius.
거의
But there
한
are about
6도
80%
오버가 되지
of Korean
특히 이제
people
젊은
who
여성분들은
do not
35도
belong
대
to
체온이 굉장히 많습니다.
this body temperature
정말 어떤
category,
의미에서는
especially younger
그 체온이
female.
떨어지면
Their body
면역력이 그렇게
temperature
떨어지고
is at the 35
이것이
degrees
바로
Celsius
정말
range,
우리가
but that
코로나에도
has a negative
굉장히 취약한
impact. So
이런
your
체질이
immune
될 수도
system
있다.
is undermined,
자, 그래서
so
이제는
thereby
정말
making
유기농
yourself
농법을
more
우리가 지어야
vulnerable
된다.
to
우리
the virus
교수랑
like
내가 정
COVID-19.
교수랑 한참 우리가 이야기를 했었는데
So we
이제
have
정말
to be more
이
conscious
유기농을
of
농사를 지어서
being organic,
그러면
going
정말 이
organic
세계
when we
정말
grow
모든
or
사람들이
produce.
찾아왔을 때 우리가
So
자신
that
있게
means that we
그거를
can
구원할 수 있지
present
않겠나.
our
제가
local
이제 작년 가을에
produce
그런
with
이야기를 하고 떠들고
confidence because
다니니까
it is
참
extremely
고맙게도
healthy.
내 주변에 몇몇 분이
And I've
이게
started this
메디올가라는
discussion
농업법인을 만들었습니다. 그래서 이제 기본적으로
about
유기농을
last
하자.
summer of
그것이
last year,
기본입니다.
and the like-minded people
그다음에는
actually
제가
established
아까 장에서
an
70%
institution called the Mary Olga. So I've told you about the 70% of the immune system is from the intestine, and the 30% is from your brain. And I've told you about this small organ called hypothalamus. And
그래서 우리가 정말 이 행복할 때
and when you feel
힐링이 잘 됐을 때
happy and when you are healed,
세로토닌이
then
넘쳐나는 상태.
your brain actually secretes serotonin.
세로토닌의
So when we say then you feel the sense of healing, then you have the serotonin overflow. So serotonin sometimes is called as a happiness hormone. So once you are at that stage, that your immune system is boosted. In recent days, the culture in the United States have changed quite a lot, and I believe that Dalai Lama played a very important role. And in the U.S., there is a New England Frontier Science Group. This is a group of young medical scientists, and they are publishing one of the most respected journals. And they have invited Dalai Lama and every 2 years and has conducted very extensive interviews and run through all these different types of exams. And they have found out something quite interesting is that Dalai Lama is demonstrating the symptoms and conditions that ordinary people demonstrate when they meditate. Is that so? He actually, or these young physicians and the doctors and the neuroscientists actually share their finding with Dalai Lama, and the Dalai Lama proposed them to go check the same or run the same exam to the monks meditating in Tibet, and they found the same findings. And they thought that their test machines must be malfunctioning because they cannot have this kind of same reading from all of these monks. But it turned out not to be the case. So the meditation is not a mystery of the East. It is a proven science. So it was proclaimed at the early 1990s. And afterwards, then there was a big boom of meditation in the United States. So why am I talking about meditation? Where I'm talking about immune system. So when you meditate, then it actually stimulates your hypothalamus to secrete serotonin. And of course, the meditation is not the only way to boost your serotonin secretion. Of course, you can intake your medication, which is I do not recommend, because going natural is something that I want to propose. So I want to talk about several ways to that. Tryptophan is an amino acid that works as the precursor to serotonin. Of course, that not all the tryptophan becomes serotonin. It will require some elements to turn tryptophan into serotonin. First, you will require the sunlight. So the sunlight is a really important element. And the second is the rhythmic exercise. So walking at a vigorous speed is a very important exercise to boost your serotonin. And also the sense of closeness, your skinship. But that's something that you don't get a lot. Hugging other people, shaking hands, this is something that you don't enjoy as often as we did before in the area of COVID-19. So we say we live in the area of Corona Blue because we don't have this close personal contact with other people. Yes. So when you look at the right-hand side, is the serotonin actually secretes melatonin, that is a hormone that contributes to your sleep. So people around me actually walks a lot because to have a better quality sleep. Because when you walk around, then you have the serotonin secretion, and that also leads to the melatonin secretion, and you can have a better quality sleep. So for 20 minutes a day, then have a walk. Enjoy a walk under the bright sunlight, just 20 minutes a day. Then you will feel refreshed. Then you will have a good start of the day, and you can have this fresh mood maintained. And of course, your immune system can be boosted. And the people living in the Mediterranean area, they are very happy people generally. And what they do usually is that they just take a walk, whether you live in this urban area or live in the rural area, and they call it as passeggiata. And I was so envious of their practice. So having a light walk with people that you love after dinner, because that will be a wonderful technique to boost your serotonin and thereby your immune system. So the United States, this is the country that usually starts things for the first time. So I'd like to visit the Fifth Avenue of New York because that is the place where you can have a hint of what's to happen in the world. Of course, the U.S. went through many societal change. And I first visited the U.S. in the early 1960s, and that is when I started my study in the U.S., and that was when the hippie culture was at full swing. But nowadays, things have changed. That the American dream was pursuing things that are big. But in the 1970s and 80s, that the big American U.S. cars, they were competing badly against this small and economical and highly functioning Japanese automobile. And many U.S. automakers shut down their plant. So they now have a new realization is that the size might not matter that much. Maybe that is the reason why they have started this meditation, because they do not want to live in the world of complexity, and they want to live simple. Is that the CC movement have started as a cultural creative. So I understand that about 50 million people in the U.S. live in this sense of cultural creative that live simple. So there are other elements that you have to control and manage your stress better, because if you manage it poorly, that will lead to more problem. Is that the way to manage well is not to fight against it, because you let it be. Of course, you cannot welcome it, but treat it as if it's a guest that visit your place. Just let it be and wait until your unwanted or uninvited guest leaves your place. So while talking about stress, of course, that the meditation could be a very good process and procedure, because when you do the meditation, so there is a part of your brain's anterior cingulate cortex, and it actually initiates your greed, and that actually builds upon more greed. So the United States, it is a highly competitive world, because people involved in the same line of work, many people are paid like 100 times more than other people. And because of this meditation, then the circular cingulate cortex, it does not get stimulated as much, and you don't feel greed as much. So what I want to tell you is that the gods and the heaven has given us a lot, many challenges and warfare of the Korean people. But these challenges actually helped us to be stronger, to be more resilient. And once again, the miracle of the Han River. But we say it casually, but we built this miracle with our blood and soul. So I've told you about the Korean diet. If we do it well, and if we build it to something that is more systematic, then we might be able to contribute to the betterment of the humanity. And we need to be closer to the nature, because look around us, there are so many greens around us. But if you stay away from it, then that has caused all of these problems, physical, mental, psychological. And there is one village in Costa Rica which is known for the longevity of these people. And the secret for this longevity is pura vida. I do not know what it means in greater detail, but what I understand that to be is to live in the nature, live with the nature. So our next speaker, Professor Lee Hee-soo, will talk about it in a greater detail, is that all the civilization will come to an end. This modern civilization is not an exception. it has these two vulnerability. One is the extreme self-centeredness. So let's look into what the leaders of the global superpowers are doing, is that they become self-centered. And we have witnessed the people who are self-centered become their national president. And because of this extreme self-centeredness, then want to become best at everything. So you have this extreme degree of competition, which cannot be sustainable. So, well, I think this is the time for me to finish my talk. I have 2 minutes left out of the time that was given to me, but I believe that it is a high time to end this discussion. Thank you, Dr. Lee. So of course, we do have a lot of questions, but we have prepared some time slot for the talk concerts at the end of today's conference, and we will have a general Q&A session.